Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Shir Baron podcast. I'm your host, Ross Baxter. Today is season 2, or the episode 2 of the series. Thank you, as always, for everyone joining and listening to the podcast. It's a pleasure, as always. Today on the show, we've got incredible artists for you. We have DreamWorks Animator and multiple award-winning short filmmaker Shir Baron on the show. Shir, it's a pleasure having you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It means a lot having you on. So we're going to be diving into how awesome your animation short is. We'll be talking about your journey as an animator, but as always though, we'll start off with good old introductions, so I'll let you take the stage. Tell us a wee bit about yourself and we'll take it from there.
Cool. So my name is Shir. I'm 28, originally from Israel, and I came to America to study animation at Ringling College.
Awesome.
I just recently graduated, and before I came here, I did a lot of traveling. I was also a flight attendant. And a lot of those experiences are what led me to creating this film.
Yeah, because that's one of the things we're going to have to dive into today, because I know you love traveling and you love adventure, exploring. As an animator yourself, you know, obviously, everyone likes to perform, get the best possible poses into their reels, into their shots, and adding emotion, you name it. So we're going to be diving into all of this, but I just wanted to kind of take it way back to the beginning in a sense. So where did this begin? Like, where did you realize it was, I want to become an animator?
It was in high school, so about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I was in Israel. High school, you get to choose kind of majors. So I was majoring in computer science and art.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also working at the local cinema. And in 2010, there were multiple films that came out that Tangled, Traister 3, and then also non-animated films, like I think Shutter Island came out that year. There was Scott Pilgrim. So all of these films at once. And I remember specifically with Tangled, I was just so amazed by the animation and the amount of the performance was just bringing that in 3D. It was the first time that I really felt the same towards characters in 3D as I did with the traditional 2D princesses. And the biggest thing was seeing the reactions of people when they came out of the theater. And sometimes I would ask a kid, hey, how did you like the movie? And before the kid even answered, their parents would just push them away,
oh, really?
It was amazing. And I think that's where I was suddenly wait a minute. This is something I can do. This is something that I like and has everything I like in one. It started from there.
That's amazing. That's great. Yeah, there's nothing better when you're just geeking out, and you're just it's the best feeling ever. It's once you realize, wait, this is it. There's no better feeling ever. And the great thing about being an artist is that we never grow up. We're kids for life. It's
Sure.
The best thing. And Tangled, that's a good choice. Awesome film choice. So I'm going to put you on the spot, because since you said Tangled, is that your favorite? Is that your favorite animation, or is there a favorite animation? Or I might be generous. I'll give you 3 to choose.
3 top? Oh my god, that's hard.
It's a difficult question straight off the bat.
Well, I think Tangled is the one that has a very special place in my heart, just because it's where I realized I wanted to do animation. But I always was a geek about animation. I never grew out of it. Favorite films? Oh.
I could always leave that part to the end if it makes it easier.
I mean, as a kid, I really loved Pocahontas and stuff like that. But then Kung Fu Panda or How to Train Your Dragon or anything that has heart and relationships. And yeah, I mean, there's so many. It's kind of hard for me to choose 3.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. It's not the easiest of questions. But that also makes a lot of sense though, because what you said there. So when you said about a lot of heart, a lot of relations, that's one of the main things that obviously, well, it is the main thing that stands out in your animation. There's that connection with your characters. So you've got Pang Pang and Gilly. Is that how pronouncing them correctly?
Yeah.
And it's like also the relatability and like how we connect with your characters, and the characters connecting with the audience. And I think that's why it's so strong. It's such a beautiful animation.
Thank you.
And we'll dive into like your process, etc., behind it. But I wanted to ask you first. So, quote me if I'm pronouncing this wrong. So, is it like ASIFA? So ASIFA for so the student scholarship.
Oh yeah, Asifa. So before, the way we do this is we create the stories and animatic visual development and everything our second semester of junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I applied with that, with like the planning. I pitched my film essentially to Asifa. They have this student scholarship every year.
Okay.
And they decided to give me a scholarship to create my film, which helped me hire a composer that I really enjoyed working with, and apply my film to film festivals, even like anything I needed, it just covered it. So that was a great help.
Because when it comes to your course, like I wasn't sure, so it's the same thing when I was talking to Jeremy. Like I was wondering, how do you guys like approach this? It's such a high standard. Obviously, you put in tons of work. Like all the artists who are making these short films, it's such a high standard. There's lots of work getting put towards it. But I was always wondering, like, what was the process behind it, etc. And I know obviously Ringling College of Art and Design, so that's the main school that you went to, and it's a great place. And could you tell me a wee bit about the course? Like, what was the course like?
Yeah, sure. So as I said, junior year, the second semester is when we create our story.
Mm-hmm.
And we create 2 pitches. And in the end of the semester, we present both of the like whole packages of like an animatic and visual development for these 2 stories, and one of them gets picked for development the next year. I honestly changed my story after that.
Okay.
I think yeah, I think that happens sometimes. So like the world, the characters and everything stayed the same, but I wasn't happy with the story. I felt like it didn't really convey what I was going for.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up making a whole new animatic in the beginning of the next like senior year. Like I was brainstorming over summer and everything, but it helps a lot when you're actually at school and you can ask teachers for advice and what they think about this or that. So I ended up making a new animatic in the beginning of the year while we were modeling the characters and everything. And and like in the first month, it was just kind of crazy, where I made like everything I had to do over a course of a semester.
Yeah, you did it in such a short period of time.
Yeah, but I'm happy I did it. It became what I wanted it to.
What you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Here, it is incredible. Like it is really, really nice, and like it's crazy how much you can achieve. So this is what we're talking about, just so everyone knows. I'll admit, so I kind of had a bit of a cable problem before this. Literally just on the hunt for cables. Why is all these cables not working? But we had the chance to talk for about 10-15 minutes about the process, etc. And obviously you're saying there about story. Like, I'm really happy that you said that, and you're saying that you weren't so happy with the outcome at first, but I think that's the case for a lot of us, and it's okay. Like, it takes a few attempts to get the right draft. It's the same for writing or whatever it may be. It takes time to kind of get that right message that you're trying to get across. And your story is very interesting because you've got I like how it's such a unique take. So it's obviously around. Well, actually, I'll let you tell it. So tell us, to the viewers who've not seen it. The links will be in the description below, and I'll make sure to showcase it on the background. But tell us a wee bit about the train to Qinling.
So it's a short film, 2.5 minutes, and it follows a Middle Eastern traveler that gets lost, and she gets stuck on this train in China with no one else except for like a panda.
Yep.
And the panda tries to communicate with her, but the whole time she just has to learn to communicate with the panda in order to like find that adventure. It's what I was going for is a whimsical kind of feel, very soft, and something that's like typically in short films there will always be like very high stakes and the ticking time bomb is intensified. Sorry, but I was trying to take it somewhere else, and a lot of the things I was looking at was more like My Neighbor Totoro and just like softer kind of feels. Kit Bull was a big one for me too. I loved Kit Bull, the Pixar short, and so
So that was the drive behind getting the story, because it's all about selling a shot with like so there's no dialogue in the scene. The whole story's kind of around when I was doing my research and understanding, it's about non-verbal children is one of the main inspirations, and that's a powerful message, and like it's also a really fun one. Like one of the best things, I know I'm kind of jumping the gun quite a bit, but I like the bit like right at the end when she kind of finds her trust with Pang Pang, and she almost speaks. It's like that whole kind of like she's take that leap to go on the adventure with all the pandas. Like I think that's such a great small touch. Like it's almost like you're luring us in. It's like, is there like I'm gonna ask you this later, but well actually should I just ask you now? Is there going to be a part 2 or should I not? I don't want to spoil anything though. Is there a part 2 maybe?
Not anytime soon. Maybe in the further future.
So
right now
there might be.
I don't know. Maybe in a different form. Maybe a children's book. Who knows?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So one of the things I want to ask you about exploration and going on adventures, just traveling is one of your thing. Like, how big an impact was that on your animation?
It was huge. So it was a huge impact on the story. I worked a lot with nonverbal children, volunteered creating art with them.
Okay.
And the whole communication aspect of it was something that was dear to me because of that. But the story was based on an experience that I had traveling in China.
Mm-hmm.
I backpacked in Asia for 3 months. A month and a half was just China. And I was backpacking alone. So
oh gosh, right, okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Very, very amazing experience. But it was based on this one time when I got on a 24-hour train ride, and I stepped on the train and I look right and left, and there are no other travelers. It was all Chinese. And in China, they don't speak very good English.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really have who to communicate with. So I remember like the first thing I was like, oh, I felt uncomfortable, got into my little bunk bed. It's like these little cubes that have like 3 bunk beds on each side.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So I like got into my little bed, and after a little while, the people sitting next to me, they started eating some treats and stuff, and just reached their hand out to me with some food. They didn't need words to like offer me to share their food. So we started by sharing a little bit of food, and then they taught me some card games that they were playing, and then taught me how to fold like heart-shaped origami out of yuan bills. Wow. And at one point, this woman sat next to me, and she was trying to ask me something for the longest time. And after about an hour or so, I realized she was just trying to ask how old I was.
Okay. How did you figure? How did you guys figure that out?
On another train ride, someone taught me how to count in Chinese. Mm-hmm. So I learned that before, and she was like using numbers, and she was like pointing and everything, but it still took a while until I figured that out. Eventually I got it, and I was like, that's awesome. RTE, like I'm 21. I think I was actually 22. Never mind. Anyway. But the amazing thing is, by the end of the train ride, we said goodbye as friends. And about a month later, I met the same lady on another train ride, which is insane because China's huge. Yeah. So, yeah, that was something that stuck with me for a long time. And
what a start to the podcast. I did not expect that. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's always the best parts. And like any animation, like the best ones are always the ones we can relate to. It's the ones when we use our own experiences. Like you literally basically just summed up your whole film based on your own experience. And that's the ones that, based on what you described there, as you could tell, like it was such a unique experience, such a great experience to go through. Like imagine it's almost like one of the things I was going to talk about was like our first time interacting with people, because it's always an interesting one because we all have our own judgments of like for example, imagine it was the situation that you were in. Like if you don't know how to speak the same language, like for example, Pang Pang's a panda, and then you've got Gilly, who obviously is a human, and they're trying to figure out how to connect with each other. And like, to me as a person, obviously I don't specialize in anime, but that sounds so challenging, but also so interesting, because the one thing I didn't realize, right, like I've watched your animation, no joke, about 50 times now. So
Oh.
like I've watched it so many times because I've been like observing everything, just trying to learn. One of my favorite things, right, is the ear panda windows. That is
Oh
just, I
yeah.
love that. And then obviously the what do you call it, like the handprint of the
Yeah.
panda for the button. It's like the subtle details. It's so nice. Obviously, you got the bamboo. You can't
Yeah.
have the panda without the bamboo. That makes sense. I can completely understand that. But it's it's such a great kind of concept to go down, of telling a story without any dialogue. But what did you learn about animation when there's no dialogue involved? Like, what was that experience like?
I loved it. I think
Hmm.
that for me, in general, I'm kind of a more subtle person.
Okay.
Uh, so I was able to really bring that out, and like through the subtleties, it's the little things, the little movements, the little eye direction, eye darts, little head nods. Those are the things that really like. That's how they communicate.
Hmm.
Uh, and then another thing was I was trying to like bring Gilly that's like a more, you know, smaller movements and everything, while Pang Bang he's like a little more like extravagant,
Yeah.
still quiet, but you know, um, and show those differences in how they're communicating. Pang Bang will just come and grab and like pull the book until it rips, while Gilly's like, no,
No, it's like, it's my
like the
precious my book.
little expressions, yeah. So it's a lot of the little things. I really enjoyed it. I worked a lot with like shooting reference, because I think that's where you can really find the little details of what you're doing when you're trying to communicate in that way.
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's really important. Panda stuff, just like the train design. I'll go back to that for 1 second. The reason I did that was also as part of my experience stepping on the train into a world that wasn't my own. I was the one who was the odd one out. And it was important for me to like make it clear that when she gets on there, she is the odd one out. She's getting on into his world, into the panda's world. Yeah, just something I wanted to mention.
No, of course, because the set design, it's well executed. It's beautiful.
Mhm. Thank
And
you.
the one thing though I really appreciate, and like this is one thing I was a culprit of when I was studying art. I always used to throw in too much. Like, I'd always like to,
Mhm.
yes, this make this add this and stuff. But I like the fact that you just balance it so well. Like, it's like what I was saying earlier. Like, this just the subtle details, the small things that just really like warmed your heart. Like, it's just really nice additions. Like I said, just like the handprint, all these small touches. Like, for example, like I said, I've watched it multiple times. Like, yes, it took me a few times to kind of realize this, but it's always nice to go back. It's like, wait, I didn't see that the first time. That's awesome. It's always really cool to kind of, like, what's your thoughts? Do you think people tend to throw too much in as animators, or they try to create too much?
I don't. I don't know. Like in general, I can talk about our curriculum, because we only have a year to create the film,
Right.
like the production of the film. It's not enough time to throw too many things in. So you have to really think about like where you put your effort in.
Yeah.
So if you think about my train, it's really all of the all of the tables are duplicates, all of the like benches are duplicates. But then I was able to add those little things like the button that you were mentioning, or the like uh, the design of the door is what makes it, what is that little detail that makes it unique.
Yeah.
um, I think it's a I don't know, I can't say like what others do, but I think it's important to always think about those things and like where are you putting your energy, because you can't put like 120% on everything. You have to put like 100 or 98% on everything, and then a few
Hmm.
things are like the 120.
Yeah, because it's always been a thing that, yes, obviously I can say through my experience, I still think a lot of people maybe get a bit sidetracked with certain details, but I like the fact that you focus mainly on the characters and just make sure like the performance and the story itself like stood out. And I think it's always great to see when it's just focusing on like just not getting so sidetracked by so many different obstacles. So one of the things, first of all, congratulations on becoming an animator at DreamWorks. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
And obviously you've won lots of competitions, and it's great seeing people getting involved and making the most of these opportunities. Tell us a wee about these competitions. Like, how did you come across this? Is this part of the course?
Well, it's something that's encouraged at Ringling to apply to festivals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a way to take that creation and like spread it around so people can actually enjoy what you worked on for so long. So there's Film Freeway. It's this online film festival submission. I just applied to a bunch over there, and then there are a few that like I applied separately.
Yeah.
The Rookies is completely separate. So the Rookies was more a competition. Like, I applied for both the film category and 3D. I don't remember what the
3D animation one as well.
Yeah. And I didn't think I would end up one of the finalists, but somehow that happened.
It all turned out amazing.
Thanks. So yeah, that was it's definitely nice to see how, just like when I saw the people coming out of films 10 years ago and
Mm-hmm.
how they were excited about what they watched, knowing that people get excited about what I create, that's the best feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of my film won in the Ani Rose Award, which was great. That was the annual award. It was streamed a few weeks ago. And then the Rookies and a bunch of other ones as well.
There's so many that you got involved in.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's always a good thing to see that animators are getting involved with all these different things out there. Like, when it comes to short films, I'm not sure what your thoughts are on this, but do you think short films is almost becoming the norm, or is it just because it's a requirement of the course? Do you think we should start seeing more short films instead of prioritizing reels? Like, what's your thoughts on the two?
I think show reel is more important
Mm-hmm.
for finding jobs. Short film, my focus is animation, and I wanted to be an animator while making my film, but when creating my film, that wasn't the only thing that was important to me. I wanted a story that I really care for. So my mindset wasn't, this is just for me to find a job. It was, this is for me to create this short film. So I think it's a little different. I think show reels are still the most important thing for getting a job. In my case, I feel like animation-wise, I had a big jump senior year when I was creating my short film.
Mm-hmm.
So most of my reel is shots from my short film, but it's still not my whole short film. When I applied to different companies, different studios, I applied with my reel that had a lot of pieces of my short film.
Because I always think that it's all about trying new things, putting yourself out there. Social media, it can be scary. It's a whole big world. It's has there been anything that you've learned by getting yourself out there? Like, have you learned anything along the way?
I think that, you mean my film, how much that helped with getting? I think it helped because it kind of forced me to do it, because I wanted people to see my film. So for the first time, I had to like keep sharing everything, and there was more to share as well. Yeah, I'm not huge at all on Twitter.
Okay.
I just started with Instagram. I'm like the worst.
It's a scary when you're starting out. It's okay. We're all the same. We're on the same boat.
Yeah, but it helps. Like, I slowly got into it more and more, and I think that it was definitely, it's really nice when you like share your stuff and then to see like I was talking before, to see everyone's reactions to it.
Yeah.
And it encourages you to keep sharing. So that was definitely something that helped me get into it a little more. Yeah, I'm pretty positive I will keep sharing like other stuff I do later on as well, which is not something I did much before.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what you make, because at the end of the day, like, I understand that people do get nervous, and getting like critique for your first time, like, take for example, even me do my podcast for the first time. So I've now done about 100 episodes. It's like,
Mhm.
The first few, I was just shaking my boots. I was just like, do I really want to do this? Am I comfortable in doing this? And then you slowly begin to you get used to it, and you realize it's not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
And I understand that there's many people who maybe have, I don't know, imposter syndrome, or maybe they don't believe in their work that much. Like I was talking to somebody on the previous podcast, and he won the rookies for the game development side of things, and he was saying to me during the podcast, like, how did he win? Like, how did he win? Like, he was wondering why he won in the first place. And you don't know until you try. And
True.
like all these animators who are listening in, get involved, take part. Like the worst thing that can ever happen is people just either you get no response, or maybe you don't win. It's okay. Knowing the fact that you tried, like that's one of the best things you can learn.
Yeah, and obviously there were film festivals, for example, that I applied to, and I didn't win. I wasn't even selected for the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's fine.
So we've talked about obviously the intro, talking about what the film's about. But I wanted to kind of throw you this question because I'm pretty sure you expected it. What was like the biggest challenge about making this short film? I'm sure you came across lots of hurdles along the way. Was there anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, making the story.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, making this story.
I that's I hate making storyboards.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the thing in the whole process. It's the thing I like the least.
Okay.
Um, I like drawing, but not like that. Not
Yeah.
when it's like a lot of quick sketches. I feel like it's my weakest point, and that's fine. But it's just what I needed the most. It took the most energy, in order to get it to where I wanted it to be. But what I did is I asked for help a lot. I talked to friends that are really good at story. I asked people who haven't watched it before to see it every step of the way. Went to other teachers as well and like asked for their help. And eventually I was able to get it to where I wanted it to be.
It's always I'm pretty sure you'll agree with this. Like people will see the final outcome and they'll be like, "Oh, it's amazing! How did you do this? How was your process?" And then people always forget, like, this was a lot of hours. This is a lot of work. This is like sweat and tears. You're just like, this is like education in a nutshell. Like, oh, I've got a deadline. There's all these different things involved. You're like, I need to do this. I have to learn audio. Like, obviously, you have to have your audio team, and there's a lot of things to obviously balance when making a short film, and planning plays a huge part in it. Like, what did you learn along the way about planning and working in a team through making your short film?
Um, well, I learned that I'm actually more organized than I thought I would be.
Great, perfect.
Everything was like Excel sheets, color coded. I knew
Mm-hmm.
exactly like which shot is what because everything was like so set up, like everything was super clean. I think I learned that I enjoy working with others. I think it's a harder process than I expected it to be
Mm-hmm.
because like talking about communication, it sometimes you have to go a lot of back and forth because what you say and what the other person hears or vice versa is not always the same. Um, so it takes a while to figure out how to like explain explain yourself better. So I think I learned how to communicate better and how to ex- uh, um, explain myself in a way that others would understand,
Yeah.
and be able to see my vision as well. And yeah, I was super lucky. I worked with Daniel Markovich. He did the music, and Audio Brews, the company that did the sound design, and they were all really awesome, really fun to work with. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like audio, like it's really a really nice soundtrack. It's
Yeah.
I'm not sure if soundtrack's the right term, but it sounds really nice. It's really fitting for your scene because, like you said, it's not like it's drastic music, etc. It's not like it's very more slow paced, and it's like building up to the finale, of the story. And music can play such a big part in it. And I think like what's your thoughts on music? Like how have like any animators listening, like what have you learned about the use of music for animators? Is there any advice you would give them, like how to use music in their animations and how to benefit from it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, specifically for my film, especially being a a film without a dialogue, it was very, very important to set the mood, as not only through the animation, but also through the music. Music plays a huge part in how the viewer feels about what they see. So I think it's really important, and it's worth the investment.
Yep.
Like whether it's in time or money, I think it's worth it. I think finding references, just like in any other aspect, is really important. Finding the tone you're going for in music is just as important as the tone you're going for, like visually.
Yeah.
And that also helps direct the person creating the soundtrack for you.
So when you think of animation, obviously there's a lot of things to learn. Like the previous guests I've talked to on the podcast, I've dived into like the technical side of things. However, one of the things I wanted to ask, is there anything you've realized through your years of study and obviously all the things you've done that maybe animators tend to fall short of, or maybe forget? Is there anything that kind of stands out to you?
I think sometimes we think too much about animation as like to move the character, and like especially when we begin, and I say we because this was me too.
Yeah.
We overact a lot. Okay, you want to convey what this character, you're trying to communicate what this character is doing. So like if the character is mad and you go like this, that's not what a mad person would normally actually do. So I think trying to really think about how you actually act in real life, and that's why reference is super important. But also when taking reference, not taking reference and like exaggerating yourself on purpose, and thinking about silhouette and how you're like posing to camera because you want to be able to see, like if I point, you want to be able to see that I'm pointing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy you said that, because there's so many people who, I know I'm pretty much repeating what you just said, but it's like they try to go too extreme. Yes, obviously we have our famous, like our characters, I don't know, like the Incredibles are going super extreme with their poses and everything, but sometimes it's a bit too far fetched. So and it's hard to make it more relatable and build that connection. So like when I'm watching obviously the Train to Qinling, it's once again, it goes back to that important message, which is the fact that like I could be a part of that world, even though it's cartoon styled, etc. I still have that connection with the characters, and even if it's a panda, like the panda is amazing. You've got to love the panda. We'll be talking about how fluffy he is. He looks so cute. He's brilliant, and the panda is voiced by am I correct? Ariel Song.
Oh yeah,
Or Ariel?
She and I, Ariel Song is a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
She's also one of the people that gave me a lot of advice for story and helped me out with that when I was like getting stuck. She did the sounds for the panda. Like both of us went into the sound booth together, and just
Amazing.
like she studied with me. She's like the same year as I am, so close friend.
No, that's good, because, well, actually, speaking of that, what's it like doing voices? How was that experience? Because I would be the worst. Like, if I was being asked to do, I don't have a clue where to start. How on earth did you survive it? Please tell me.
It was hard. I tried doing it on my own. That didn't work, so I asked a friend, and we kept building off of each other by hearing like her recordings, and it was it took a long time to find his voice, because that's not what a panda sounds like. A panda is like.
Awesome. We're here to hear first, folks. The live performance.
Yeah, but they have like more of a squeaky sound,
Okay.
and I think that if I would put an actual panda sound, people don't really recognize the sounds that pandas make, and I think it wouldn't have fit. It would feel like he's more of a tiny baby or something, and so it took a while to figure out, okay, well, if it's not that, then what is it, and what would he sound like? So it was a lot of going to the sound booth and like re-recording. And when quarantine happened,
plenty of time for it.
We were still on, like a few of us were still on campus. I'm an international student, so I couldn't go home, and my friend was from California with a car, so she couldn't drive all the way. Anyway, so we ended up being at school, and we just like took the closet and padded it with like pillows and blankets and stuff,
Yeah,
and closed ourselves in this tiny closet and just like on our phone like recording.
just recording the audio. That's how it's done.
Yeah, but some of the sounds there from the closet, and the sound designers did a great work in cleaning it up because it was not clean audio.
Here, you guys
Yeah.
did a good job. It worked. Like you said, like how on earth are you meant to be like, right, today my goal is to make a panda voice. It's not something you just learn overnight. It's
No.
and I think that's one of the fun things though, is like you get to kind of interpret like the way you want it to sound. Like you can like when I think animation, this is why I love talking to you, is because you guys are just like the performers. You're the life of the industry. Like I'm so glad we have animators. It's I remember right the first time. So obviously you were saying there about like obviously coming up with a voice and stuff. I remember the first time I did Animation Mentor and had my friend on the monitor, right, because he was living in America, or he lives in America. He was looking, and you just see me walking past the webcam, do like a creepy walk, just performing the character. But like that's why we love animation, and that's why to go back to the important point that you said, like you've got to become the character, like try and interpret what you think it would sound like, and maybe that'll be an interesting thing to see. I wonder how many more people will start doing their own voices, actually becoming the character themselves.
Yeah, I think that like I was originally gonna hire voice actors,
Hmm.
but I didn't know what I wanted it to sound like. So
Yeah.
we just kept trying and trying until it was like, okay, let's just use this, you know? So sometimes it's not really necessary. It depends what you want, what you're going for. But I think that, especially for a dialogue piece, I think it's important to get someone professional or a friend that's really good at voice acting to do the voices, because the way you read a line is really important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
But in my case, it was a little different.
once again, everyone's always wanting like the perfect result, but
Hmm.
yes, we can invest into certain things, like you said. Like I think it's important. Like investing can go such a long way, but I also think though that we can also do a lot of things ourselves, and we learn from that. Like you'll be able to in the future, kind of obviously you'll have a background of what it's like to record audio because you've tried it, you've given it a go,
Yeah.
and that experiment can go a long way. Was there anything else that you kind of experimented that you didn't expect to happen while making the film?
I think just like, well, I had to figure out a lot of things, like how
Mm-hmm.
to make her hair work because she has like dreads, and I ended up making like a dynamic rig and stuff like that. And I'm not a rigger, but there are a lot of things that you suddenly figure out, like need to figure out and need to go and research about, even if it's not your focus.
Yeah,
And I
of
think
course.
that there's no better place to do that than school, personally. And yeah, I think that we learn a lot, and sometimes it doesn't allow us to focus enough on what we want. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I think it's like I personally like that because later in the industry, you're able to communicate so much better with all of the departments because you know what the pipeline is. You actually understand what goes behind the scenes. So if something like if a rig isn't working for any reason, I might know why, even if I'm not the one fixing it. But like communicating that to a rigger to fix that, a TA or whatever,
Yeah.
uh, will be a lot easier. Um, yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that, because it's all about going back and forth. It's all about learning from your team. Is there? I know obviously your college is a great place to learn from, but is there anything that you wish education taught more of?
As an animator, I wish it had more focus on animation.
That's interesting, right? Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot, like every semester we create a kind of little short, a 10 to 12-second short. Um, so you have to do the whole pipeline. And then by
Hmm.
the end of it, you only have a short amount of time to actually animate. But I think it would have been good to, at least in the beginning, have just pure animation exercises with professional rigs, not rigs that we created even.
Yeah. Oh,
Or
that's always hard.
yeah, or have professional rigs available for us to even use on our own if we do like animation tests and stuff like that. Because we end up using student rigs, which is okay, but it's not the same. There is some kind of limitation in what you can do with a student rig. So yeah, I think that's where I would personally improve a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thanks for saying that, because oh gosh, I didn't expect you to say that. Because when it comes to animation, the first time, like I said, so when I joined Animation Mentor, you want to be able to animate and not have any stress, if you know what I mean. Like you want to not be worrying about the rig, like you were saying. Like you want to kind of get all that out of the way. You want to just focus purely on the animation. And if you're going through an education system, and yes, I know obviously we don't always have the best resources, and sometimes you obviously have to do the best with what you got, etc. But like I know obviously a lot of courses are getting better at distributing quality around the world, and I'm intrigued to figure out how much things grow over the years and stuff. Like the standard has got a lot better, but I still think they're always going to be like 5 years behind, because unfortunately the way the industry runs is that they're only allowed to change the way things run every 5 years. So it's always been like slowly causing artists to fall behind, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If you understand, like it's hard for like when we give people feedback, like when we're like, right, I wish this course had this and this, but they're only allowed to implement it once the 5 years are up, if you know what I mean. And it's always a pity on the students who are investing. But I'm intrigued to find out how things improve. Did you ever consider applying to online courses? Was that ever an option for you?
Not financially.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a struggle to even attend this school.
Okay.
Yeah, the tuition is significantly higher here.
Definitely, yeah.
So I had to find solutions for that, and I had people help me with that. So yeah, that wasn't really an option financially, but I hope to do it in the future because I think you can learn a lot, and I think that online classes are like, I think it's a great. I think it teaches a lot of things that we can't learn actually in a traditional school.
Yeah.
It's very focused. It's a lot more hands-on. I feel like a lot of one-on-one. Luckily, we had very small classes, so I feel like I did have a lot of interaction with my teachers. But yeah, I think that online schools are great.
Well, it's the same, because think about it, the standard of work that your school has been able to achieve, which is great. Like you said, that obviously you had to tackle a lot of different areas. Like that's the thing that terrifies me the most is the fact that you guys are like specialized. Like when I was talking to Jeremy, I was like, how on earth are you guys doing this? Like what secrets are you being taught that our schools, like if I was taught what you guys, it was mad the first time I watched all your guys work. It's the same when I saw Logan's show reel. I was like, this how is this happening? It's a great thing, but everyone who's listening, though, the one thing I will like to highlight, though, it's not necessarily always the schools. Like for example, I'm not saying like this school is just like the go-to place. Like Shir got to where she is because of her hard work. Like the amount of things that she's taken part in is insane. Like this is one of the things that I think a lot of students fall short in. It's about making the most of your university. Yes, you can do the modules and try and get the grades and stuff, but there's a lot of things on the side. I know you did some mentoring. I know you've obviously entered all these things. You had to do that on like yourself on your side, etc. And yes, it takes a wee bit of confidence and it takes some time to do that, but really use the resources that you have and make the best of it. Yes, obviously there's lots of free stuff as well that you've got to utilize, but I can't stress it enough. Right. So we've got one more main section I want to talk about before we get into the fun random section, Shir. I'm going to bombard you with a lot more questions when it comes to all the fun things about Disney and DreamWorks and why we love it. But first things first, before we do that, I want to talk about getting into the industry and the things that you've learned. So it's a great thing having you on because you've been at DreamWorks now for 2 months, am I correct?
No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Oh gosh, right, okay,
Yeah.
I completely misread LinkedIn, I apologize.
No, it's all good. I was at Riot for a summer internship, and now I'm at DreamWorks. Yeah.
Right, well 2 weeks is even better. It makes it even more more fresh and more unique. So first things first, what's it like now being an animator? Like, what was that feeling like the first day that you found out the news?
Uh, like terrifying, but also I'm just in training right now,
Hmm.
so I'm not working on the production yet, but
Okay.
yeah, very, very new. I'm excited. It's really fun to work with these professional rigs, honestly. I never worked with like such high quality rigs.
No
And
more stressing over rigging ever again. The feeling's
no,
the best feeling ever.
yeah, 100%. But everyone's super nice. And that's something I experienced at Riot as well. Like everyone is so nice and welcoming and really wants to help you grow and is there for you. And like, there were so many people that just reached out individually and were like, hey, just know that, we know it's work from home right now and everything, but know that we're here. If you have any questions, feel free. Um, Work from home is like, it is a different experience for sure.
Yeah.
Starting a job from home, you don't get to know as many people or like get to the level of closeness you would there. Yeah. And you can't just turn to your right and be like, hey, can you take a quick look?
Yeah, you can't
You
do that
have
at all, can you?
to message. Yeah. So it is a little different, but it's really nice to see how the people who are already there understand that and go out of their way to like let you know that they're there for you.
So, well, that's actually a really interesting topic. So, let's actually talk about it because obviously with COVID going on,
Yeah.
it makes sense why everyone has to work from home. To anyone who else is having to go through that same thing, is there anything maybe they should prepare for?
Yeah. So I was actually Riot Games. My internship was also from home, so I think
Right.
that was a longer experience that I can talk about a little more. I think one of the important things is to get up, get dressed, brush your teeth, have breakfast, and start the day. Not just stay in your PJs all day.
Don't get too comfy.
Yeah. And also, I think it is important to reach out. People will offer you, hey, like I'm available if you need anything.
Hmm.
But use that. I mean, someone offered it, actually reach out and ask for the help or ask to just have a one-on-one and get to know the person because that's also a way to create the personal connections. It's not always just like just a knowledge-based relationship.
Yeah.
And it's okay to reach out also to people who didn't reach out to you because like just like as nice as it is for me to receive those messages, I'm sure that it's also nice for others to receive messages when I'm like, hey, I'm on your team and I'm going to be here for a few weeks. I would love to get to know you, especially because it's work from home and everything. I did that a lot at Riot actually, and I did a lot of one-on-ones on the teams I worked on,
Hmm.
and uh, and I feel like I really got to know the people that I was working with, even though it was work from home, because I was able to talk to them and get to know them a little bit outside of work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's great because it's a bit of a daunting one because it's a whole different scenario when it's a team based job. Like you guys are having to figure out how to work together. Obviously, you're sending files back and forth. You're trying to, like, if you have a problem, it's a wee bit more difficult to maybe navigate through. Like, it's not always the easiest to kind of get a point across if maybe if a person isn't there. So it's always nice to hear someone's perspective about that. One of the things I wanted to ask is there anything that what's the best way for me to ask this? How could I ask this the best way? Is there anything you wish that you did that could have made it easier for you as an animator? Is there anything that stands out to you during your time at education that could have made that process a lot more smoother if you had to do it all over again?
I think I would reach out earlier. I reached out for like help, and I always asked for feedback, but I did that more only later on,
Hmm.
and I think that's what allowed me to grow the most.
Yeah.
I think if I would do that earlier, I would start that process earlier. So I think that that's something I would have changed if I went back to like freshman sophomore year.
Yeah.
Um,
It's all about talking at the end of the day.
mhm.
It's crazy how vital it is. Like the first time, like this is me just being honest with you. Like the first time I ever got into industry, I was shaking in my boots.
Yeah.
I was so nervous. I was just like,
Yeah.
is this for me? Am I ready for this? I don't know where to begin. And then, like you said,
Relatable.
you take that one step back and you just reach to one person. Like you said, a great thing. Like make the most of the opportunity as well. Like if there's people that you don't know or if you not been introduced to yet, introduce yourself to them first. It's the worst thing is that they're going to say is. I'm a wee bit busy just now, but I'll talk to you later or something like that. It's not going to be like, oh no, I can't talk to you. It's too, I'm too busy. Like
Yeah,
people are there to help you, if you know what I mean.
for sure.
So I know you had a mentor for this project. Why was having a mentor great for you, and how did it help you?
So yeah, I have a dear friend, Liran Topaz. He is also actually from Israel and studied at Ringling as well, and has been at DreamWorks for quite some time now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and about the middle of junior year, he kind of decided to seriously take me under his wing. I felt very stuck animation-wise. Like I didn't, I felt like I didn't really know 100% what I was doing technically.
Okay.
And when he came into the picture, he started by giving me like just critiquing my work. And there was this one video that he did where he took my actual graph and was like, why is this key here? This should be like this. This should be like that. And then all it really took was those 20 minutes for something to just click. Because I suddenly realized how to animate. It wasn't even about the performance or anything at that point. Like I was always getting stuck on the technical side of it. Like going from step to spline was always a mess. And sorry, the cat is trying to open the door.
Adds a bit of creative flavor to it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's okay. I can I can edit certain parts out. That was perfect.
But yeah, so I feel like so during the animation process, he would give me feedback, and after those 20 minutes, when that one thing clicked, it was finally about I was able to focus on the performance and actually improving my animation level. So yeah, I think it's really, really important, and that kind of ties into what I always say is that it's like really important to reach out to people.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that, I would have been in a totally different place. So yeah.
That's great because everyone who's tuning in, listening in, sometimes all it takes is one person to really help motivate you and really get the job done,
Yeah.
and somebody who can also understand you. Like I understand Ariel as well was also very helpful in what you did
Yeah.
as well, and having these friends, having these people around you can really just make things way more smoother. And once again, having somebody who's trained in the industry can really help. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
So I've got one more question before we get into the madness.
Mhm.
Is the famous one, so resources. So is there anything that stands out to you over the years that's helped you out? Like if there's any go-to resources, what would you recommend for animators?
Well, I a lot of times I'll just like go and look at, first of all, at the shots that if there's like something I'm trying to convey and I know there's a shot that kind of conveys the same feeling or something, I'll go and search for that shot and like step through it on YouTube. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like obviously the more basic thing. But then there's a frame by frame. I follow that a lot because
Frame
they
by
just
frame.
yeah,
Right, I've
they
never
break.
heard of this.
Oh, really? They like take shots, animate animation pieces, and
Mm-hmm.
they break down the shots and like talk about the silhouette and just the arcs and everything, and they like draw over it, and it's really cool and it's
Awesome.
free. I'll share it with you later. Because I feel like I'm still at that stage where I'm just like trying to improve my skills as much as possible. So, um, yeah, I think frame by frame is a really good one.
So everyone listening, make sure to check it out. So thank you everything that you shared today in the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. So now it's time for the fun section. So everyone tuning in, it's I call it question time. Right. So the first question I've got, if you could visit anywhere in the world, where would it be? Because I know you love your adventures. So if you could have your dream vacation, where are you going?
Australia.
So why do you want to go to Australia?
And that's where I was gonna go into originally, instead of Asia. But then it was their winter, our summer. So I was like, oh, weather is not good for that. And
Bad
then
timing.
so it's still like something I want to do. I already did all the research and everything. I just want to take like a few months and actually like drive across and then like, and then the coast. But we'll see.
No, great choice.
One day.
I was really happy you said that because so my mum lives in Australia,
Oh.
and I've still not visited her, so I need to go over and experience what's like. It's I hear all these stories. She's like, Ross, the weather's amazing. You could do this. And I'm like, Mum,
Yeah.
I live in Scotland. We have the worst weather of all time, and you're telling me about all the sunshine. It's not helping.
Well, I mean, there's also a lot of like, it's just so distant. So there's so many things that are unique to that one
Mhm.
place, like the animals as well, and just the nature. And yeah, that's why I want to cross through.
Yeah, I'm not trying to discourage you, but the animals ones are an interesting. I've got a few stories to tell you when it comes to Australia. So, right, so make sure you're in the city, okay? So if you're going to Australia, just go to the city, you'll be fine. But there was this time when on Facebook, my mum was like, Ross, I've got this photo I need to show you, and it was like a 6-foot snake,
Oh my God.
in their house, and it was on the top of the door, and I was just like, what on earth is that?
Oh.
And then she just zoomed in. I was like, yep, I'm not visiting Australia. But
Oh my goodness.
there was like so many interesting things. There's one really cool thing. Here, actually, I don't know if I want to say. I don't want to ruin your trip. Like, highly recommend going to Australia. It's amazing. Take that back, okay? You didn't hear anything. I'm sorry, Shir.
It's fine.
There's
It's
no
fine.
snakes or big spiders or anything.
I heard of like huge bugs that are like the size of your head. Yeah.
That's one way to start. I would definitely not get a job at advertising for going to Australia. I've lost my job right there. Right,
Yeah.
let's change the question. Let's make it a more happy one instead of talking about snakes.
Sure.
Right, this is a difficult one. Favorite animated scene of all time? Is there an animation
Oh.
shot that you're like, oh my gosh?
I'll go back to Tangled. It's not
Ooh.
just a shot. It's like the whole Mother Knows Best reprise.
Yes, nice. Okay.
So like when it's just the two of them in the forest, and like that's all you see. It's like a super dark forest, so like you hardly see past anything, and everything is just really focused on the animation because that's the whole focus there. And I love that because that's exactly what I was talking about, like showing the different type of characters. Like Rapunzel is so different from Mother Gothel. That's like super, theatrical and everything, and they also go through so many different emotions throughout that one little reprise. Yeah, I clicked through that song like so many times.
It's such a good. Oh, I can sing it right now. It's such a good song.
Yeah.
Mother Knows Best. It's a good song. It's songs. Actually, I'm gonna ask you that. Actually, it's not on my list, but favorite animated song. Is there a song that stands out to you?
So
Like
many.
a Hakuna Matata, obviously a famous classic.
For sure. Favorite one. I think I'll go back to like as a child because it's hard for me to think right now.
Yeah.
But like as a kid, Pocahontas, just across the river bend
Yeah,
was one
nice
of
song. Yeah.
Yeah, I also really enjoy watching Steven Universe.
Wait, say that again, sorry?
Steven Universe?
What's that?
It's a show. It's an
I've never heard of
animated network show. Rebecca Sugar created the songs and everything. Like it's her show. Yeah, I love her music.
Steven Universe.
And, yeah.
That's something I need to check out. That's another one on the list. There's so many things I have to check out now.
So, fun fact, one of the final, like in the final episode of the show, there's James Baxter animated one of the shots there, and it's beautiful. And like I didn't expect it. A lot of people already know this, like going into the show, but I didn't expect that shot, and I was just watching it, and it's all like Cartoon Network animation. And then suddenly it goes into this one shot that's like extremely smooth and like beautifully animated. Like I shed a tear and I'm like, what is this? Yeah, beautiful. So
Here, that's some good choices. I've got some new content as well to look at. I'm excited for this. We're just getting
yeah.
started with this part. This is going great. Perfect. Right, more difficult questions to throw at you here, Shir. Oh gosh, this oh I love this one. Right, if you could have any pet from an animated movie, what would you choose?
I think Toothless is really cool because you can
Yep.
fly.
Oh yes.
um, that would be awesome. Um, I think, uh, yeah, I think maybe Toothless would be the coolest
Toothless.
pet to have. Yeah.
You and Jeremy both had the same answer.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry.
No, that's
Well,
great. That's great.
I
Because
can change it
no,
to get
no.
my
Here,
own.
Toothless. We are definitely How to Train Your Dragon fans. Okay, like we're not discouraging that at all. We love How to Train Your Dragons. I was watching. They released the films on Netflix. About oh gosh, it must have been a few months ago, and I was like, yep, instantly watching that. It's one of those films though that I like to really spread out. So basically, I'll watch it every few years because I like that moment. Like, do you know when they actually start flying, like the first flight and the I don't know what you call the part of the wing, but when it actually connects and you just the famous song comes on and you're just like, it's
Yeah,
go time. It's so nice.
so good. Yeah, actually the shot where, they meet for the first time and Hiccup tries to communicate with Toothless. That
Hmm.
was also one of my references. I was looking at that a lot when I was trying to think of ways for the panda to communicate with the girl and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like I guess How to Train Your Dragon is a really good movie.
No, but here
Yeah.
that's a good thing that you said. So when you said earlier, so you said a few minutes into the podcast that when it came to when you were traveling in Asia, like the subtle movements that kind of you're trying to get that connection with the or trying to figure out what they're saying or what they're trying to imply. And every time Toothless is speaking, like he's just rotating his head all the time. Like it's always those small little things he's trying to figure out. Wait,
That's true.
what's he trying to say? Is he trying to attack me or what? It's always these small little things, and it goes back to the important point that you said that it's just the subtleties that can really sell your shot rather than these drastic extreme things, and it's always no, I'm really happy you said that. So great choice. Right, so we've got four more questions, and then we will finish on the famous or the favorite question I ask every single guest. But once again, we're going back to songs because I love the songs in Disney, etc. Right, would you rather sing Hakuna Matata with Timon and Pumbaa, or I Like to Move It with King Julian
Oh my
Maurice?
God.
So you have to sing with them. What choice you're going? I had a long thing about this because I was checking here. I did not choose the questions. Okay, it was on the Would You Rather section. I had to. I saw. Well, technically, I did choose these questions, but so I chose the Madagascar one because it'd be so funny. But I'm intrigued to find what you'd choose. So
I do
you're
think I would choose Hakuna Matata because, like, yeah, it's just I think it could be so fun and
yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
You're like, I don't want to explain this. I did not sign up for this today.
Yeah.
Next question. This one always catches people off guard. This is another one I ask every single guest. Favorite animated villain?
Mother Gothel. I will explain. The
Mm-hmm.
reason I think Mother Gothel is because I feel like, first of all, she's one of the like last villains that is actually like she's a villain from the start and like the classic kind of villain, and I kind of miss that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of films don't have that anymore. It's always about revealing who the villain is, and it's just like an ordinary person. And yeah, that's nice to have, but I also miss this. But another thing is, I feel like it was very mature in a sense. Like she wasn't just a villain; she was also Rapunzel's mother throughout the film. Like she was actually her mother,
Yeah.
and like there's always that like she says, "Oh, I love you," and like I love you more, I love you most. Um, it's something that you can. I feel like it talks about just like in real life, if a kid gets kidnapped, a lot of times it is parents that like people that take them and raise them as their own children.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was a little more real in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Thanks for saying that. Because one of the things that I feel, though, that a lot of people forget when watching any movie is the villains were also, like, they're not also, this is going to sound strange, but I'm pretty sure you might agree with me, but we always have this instinct of they're instantly bad, but they're
Yeah.
also, they've also got, they're obviously their good side, and they have like this, like when you actually take a step back and you realize, wait, they've got a good heart, but there's something, because of what's happened around them, it's
Yeah.
caused them to do certain things. And I think that's always an interesting, like you said, it'd be great to see more films showing more of that. And like, I think it'd be great, right? I'm not sure if you heard about it, but I think there was this announcement a few years ago. I got a feeling they're not going to make it, but they were going to make a Jafar movie. And I thought it'd be really interesting if they all made it, like, instead of making all these live action, like, like they're remaking all these films, like The Lion King and like live action, etc. But I was wondering, instead of that, why not like remake all the villain stories? Like, it'd be so cool to see all the villains' perspective and how they became villains.
Well, they kind of did that with Maleficent, didn't they?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say her. That's what I was going to say for my my villain. So let's talk about Maleficent. Did you like that film?
Yeah, so that would be like my other villain that I would name out. But I actually like, part of the reason I like Maleficent, even the original, is also the design and everything. I feel like, I don't know, there's something very hypnotizing about her. And oh God, there's so many good villains. I'm suddenly like thinking about more and more.
Everything's just coming to mind. It was always a fun topic to talk about. I don't think enough people talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. There's what's her name? Madame Mim.
Wait, oh gosh, I've forgotten who that is. Who's that again?
It's from wait, I want to make sure I'm not confusing.
It's okay, I can always edit out. No one will know.
Yeah, Madame Mim from Sword and Stone, and she's like always,
yes.
Jumpy and everything, and can shapeshift.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
I love what she does. I love what she does with her hair. Like, she pulls it. It's like she pulls it to the side, and she's just like, ah.
There's something super fun about her, and she's just like, she's a villain, but also she's just this fun character in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like her a lot. But back to Maleficent. I do like the first. I think it's one of the better remakes because it's not really a remake. I personally don't like the remakes that much.
Yeah, I'm the same. No, I agree with you. It takes away. Obviously, we don't like. We're not bash. Well, we're just being honest. Like, it's so hard to kind of is accepting the right word when something is such a memorable moment. Like, the first time you ever watched The Lion King, it's like we have that picture in our head. Like, we know exactly what's happening. We know everything about Mufasa, you name it, and then suddenly it's become real. It's weird. Like, it doesn't feel quite right. But I don't know. I'm intrigued to find out what they do for the future films. So we've got 3 more questions. Right, this one's a tough one. This took me a lot of time to think this through. This is why I love asking the questions, because then you get to answer it first, not me.
Sounds good.
Most underrated animated movie.
Oh, why are you doing this to me?
Is there a film that you think just didn't get much limelight? So, do you want me to answer first?
Sure.
So, if you want to answer more as well, it's okay. So, there's 3 films, right, that I grew up with grew up as a kid that I really liked. So I watched these films a lot with my sister. Swan Princess. So I thought a great movie.
It is.
It's so good. Like, I loved it. All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yes.
And then Thumbelina.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I love all of these.
They're so good. I loved them as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good ones. The Black Cauldron. I had the tape, and I would watch it nonstop.
Yeah.
I know that people think it's not a good movie. They're probably right, but I really loved it, and it's very dark and creepy, and like, it was cool to watch. It was different from the other movies I owned. So
I'm sure I've watched it like once or something, but I honestly, you're gonna be shocked, but I don't think I've watched it properly. I don't remember in my childhood watching The Black Cauldron because the same. This is another great thing because my guest who came on the previous podcast, literally just the other day, his favorite movie of all time was The Black Cauldron. So it's crazy.
Wow.
What's the chances of you both like back to back saying that?
Yeah.
That's so strange.
Crazy.
That's really interesting. So what is it about? Because I know there's this is it like a skull character? He's the bad guy, or he's like some sort of
Yeah. I think he's called the Horn King. It's been a while since I watched it.
Yeah.
But as a kid, like, he's called the Horn King, and he like brings his army of dead back to life. And there's this princess and this like little piglet and stuff.
I've got to watch it.
I think that I'm not sure, so I would have to double check. But I think I heard that the first time they used 3D was in this movie, and they used it for the ball of light.
Okay.
So like the ball of light was like 3-dimensional or something. So it was the first time they used 3D in a like 2D movie.
Wow. Okay.
I think.
No, that's okay.
I have one more
Yeah, on you go.
that like is more known, but I feel like a lot of people don't. I don't know. Anyway, I really like the Lorax. I'm a huge like musical fan and everything, and I love movies with music. So I really like the Lorax, and then I found out that a lot of people didn't watch it. So yeah,
I've not seen it.
Yeah.
So it answers your
A lot
question.
of fun. Yeah.
Good choices. Right. Thank you so much for everything you said. It's been a pleasure having you. Now the probably the difficult fun question that you think it's been tough so far. Favorite cartoon as a kid?
As Told by Ginger, Nickelodeon. It's about this like ginger girl, and she tells stories, and like she has, they're like the geeky group, and it's just kind of, it told stories that are very relatable and things that like we went through that in that time and, as well, and like it was just really, it was a lot of I loved it. I felt like it was very relatable. That's the main thing.
Amazing answer. Shir, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on this. I had so much fun. I learned so much. Most importantly, everyone who's listening, make sure to go give her a follow. Literally subscribe to her YouTube channel. Her film is incredible. I'm not just saying that. Make sure to check out her work. She does some really awesome animations. Thanks once again for coming on this show. And everyone who's tuning in on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Smash the like button as always. And with that said, folks, we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.